how microservices are different from monolithic applications. Nowadays you would have heard, these terms, right? At microservice, everyone wants to go with the microservice. There's that, yeah, we want to just build a microservice. Even all the different languages like Java is basically has created Spring Boot, right, which is compatible with microservices. Likewise, there are other languages, they have actually created or brought down different frameworks which are basically compatible with different microservices. But earlier we used to have a monolithic application where we talk about that, okay, there are monolithic applications and things. So let's try to understand this, right? That what are monolithic application, how they change to microservice, how they get help into cloud native and into orchestrator component. So if we see this particular diagram, right, this particular diagram is basically the monolithic application diagram. If I explain you this diagram, if you see this www is nothing, this is my browser, right? There is some application running on my browser. These are my logging software, that is logs. This is my database. This is my monitoring observability. Let's say this log one is something, my database or something, and this is again my application. And this is all over my team. And this particular the connections which are made, right, between all the components, that shows that they are tightly coupled to each other. When they say tightly coupled, means that if you try to remove or if you try to make change to one system, probably you have to build everything again, right? So it's like you cannot make the changes in a very easier way. Now monolithic applications, had only one of the major problem was this, that if you have to make change into any of the application, so that means that you have to you can't basically just make the change into this part and rebuild this. You have to rebuild everything from scratch to bottom. So means like you make the changes of this only, but you have to build all the components together, because this is just a single application. These are not the different entities, or these are not the different applications. So monolithic is something which means that there are the components which are tightly coupled to each other, and all the components are tightly coupled in a different way with respect to the different applications. So this is basically known as the monolithic application. So overall, if we talk about monolithic application, they are tightly coupled, and it is, if you make any change in or if you put any feature, you have to basically rebuild all the things, you have to revisit all the components again and again. Now we'll talk about microservices, that how does microservice application looks like. Okay, now the microservice applications, right, they are basically in form of the they are loosely coupled, Now if you see the previous diagram and if you see this particular diagram, right, there is a huge difference between the two diagrams. If you see here, first of all, these dotted lines show that they are loosely coupled. Secondly, there is a different teams involved for different things. The component remains same. You have a browser, you have a logging, you have a database, you have a monitoring, you have the application.